Did you know Starship will be the largest flying object ever made on Earth? None other than the tech genius, Elon Musk plans to build starships to send life from Earth and make cities on the Red Planet. For this, starships are being produced on a large scale. Starbase is said to be set up on the land in Boca Chica village, where both the Legacy House community and the SpaceX build site are located, as well as the land where the SpaceX test site and launch site is located, and more, since Starbase is to be a municipality much larger than Boca Chica. But, where is this massive ships being built? Is Elon Musk practicing building of city on Mars, by building one on Earth? The SpaceX village in Texas, which is built for housing employees, and the launch site and factory for the Starship is an example. The Starship will have a flight schedule goal of 3 flights per day. The manufacturing of this Starships is a very time-consuming task. But Elon Musk says with every iteration the engineers find a faster way of production with advanced space tech. The manufacturing lines are currently working at a rate which builds 2 Starships per week, with costing crossing $5 million for each Starship. When it comes to producing such huge objects in large quantity, you cannot mass produce each piece in a factory. Machines need to be created that can build the rocket, which is a lot more complicated than designing the rocket itself. Elon Musk did not wait for a large factory to be built to start SpaceX. The production was started in open space, and then this Starship production line got an update by having tents. Shipping containers were used as a base for these specialized tents. This was similar to Tesla's initial days. A multi-million-dollar new building was not possible for Tesla when it was in the development stage, so they had started it with building giant tents in the Tesla parking lot in just 2 weeks. Spring Structures had built these tents for Tesla, and similarly, Spring Structures did the same in Texas for Starship. Later, tall windbreaker structures, where the steel barrels are stacked up and welded together, were made. This is all being done in a huge land in Texas, where more and more land is being bought by SpaceX, now owning 40 hectares. They plan to own the whole village in coming future. SpaceX being a massive project, and Starship being huge in size, the cost to transport it from the factory to the launch site is heavy. That is why they built their production and launch sites so close together, less than 1.2 miles away from each other. This saves a lot of money. The Starship base has its own solar farm covering over 2.6 hectares, which was installed by Tesla's Solar City. Boca Chica, Texas was chosen for the Starship base for several specific reasons. As it is near the shoreline, making it safer to launch rockets. Moreover, it is also near the equator, which gives a rocket the boost it needs during launch. The Starship base is named as the Starship Production Complex, or the Gateway to Mars. However, it is now famously being called as Starbase, Texas. It could soon become its own city. Now the Starbase is where the production facility and the launch site for Starship is located, but soon a SpaceX village can be built there with houses and rooms for employees along with recreational facilities. This will allow Elon Musk to practice and learn how to build a city, from where he later starts a colony on Mars. He tweeted saying, "Creating the city of Starbase, Texas, from vents to Mars and hence the stars." Elon Musk and SpaceX have been building their Starships vertically. If they continue to do it this way, as there are a number of benefits and drawbacks to building the Starship upright normally. When putting in the payload, the cargo inside of the rocket is done horizontally, since it is easier and safer. But for a rocket to be strong enough to lay on its side, it needs to be reinforced, making it heavier and more complicated. And then there are added costs involved in tilting the rocket into its vertical launch position. There are ground fabrication and propulsion buildings, a bay, and a tent for building the separate nose cone, multiple welding tents, a tooling tent, and the tall windbreaker structures. There is also a campground and a village of existing houses nearby. High and bulky cranes are required to lift the steel barrels. All of this adds to the safety hazards. Starships are made of 3 mm thick pieces of stainless steel that are bent and then welded to make barrels that are 2 meters high and 9 meters in diameter. These barrels are then stacked up on top of each other and welded into place. 17 barrels. To speed up the process, the engineers have made their own machine, called the knuckle seamer. The prototype for this was built in one of the tents. It is an automated welding machine. It welds together the internal domes that house the fuel and oxygen on the Starship. It takes welding time from 6 to 8 days down to a single day. They have also built an automated shielding X-ray machine that inspects the welds before a human team would show up and have to shut down the work area before X-raying. This would take a full day with the new X-ray machine. SpaceX are also streamlining the building of Starship's heat shield. SpaceX have designed their rockets to use a single shape and size heat shield tile, and robots are being used to install them with the prototype. SpaceX is seeing which is the best way to connect the tiles to the rocket. Pins are being welded onto the Starship body where the heat shield tiles are placed by robotic arms to then be welded another way. The team is speeding up the process by building team in one weekend from 250 to 500 people. The Boca Chica village is developing at a large scale. It will soon be converting in a huge production house of Starship. With this Starship's production going high, the day isn't far when we will see people going to the Mars.